Do not leave your cares at the door. Do not leave them there when you come into this place. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. Oh, bring your pain and sorrow and joy. There's a place for them upon the altar of life. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. And do not leave your cares at the door. This is a place of grace, a place of losing and finding our way upon the winding road, meeting and parting, stumbling and starting over. Leave your cares at the door. Do not leave them there when you come into this place. Be open to forgiveness and transformation. Come on in, you are welcome here. Come in and do not leave your cares at the door. Amen. Amen.
Well, that's a great video to start with. My goodness. Good morning. Our opening words this morning are from Philip Hewitt. Here's what he said. From the fragmented world of our everyday lives, we gather together in search of wholeness. By many cares and preoccupations, by diverse and selfish aims, are we separated from one another and divided within ourselves. Yet we know that no branch is utterly severed from the tree of life that sustains us all. We cherish our oneness with those around us and countless generations that have gone before us. We would hold fast to all of good we inherit, even as we would leave behind us the outworn and the false. We would escape from bondage to the ideas of our own day and from the delusions of our own fancy. Let us labor in hope for the dawning of a new day without hatred, violence, or injustice. Let us nurture the growth in our own lives and of the love that has shone on the lives of the greatest of men and women, the rays of whose lamps will illumine our way. In this spirit we gather. I'd like you to rise in body and spirit as we recite our covenant and remain standing as we light the chalice. And then Cathy, you hum along with Cathy Cox as she sings the doxology in English and Spanish.
Would you like the chalice first?
No, we're going to read. I'm going to do the chalice lighting first. Here we go. Yes. These are words from Christine Robinson. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs, we light this beacon of hope, sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. And now the affirmation of covenant, which should be on the screen. There it is. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another.
From all that dwell below the skies, let songs of hope and faith arise. Let peace, goodwill on earth be sung, through every land, by every tongue. De todos bajo el gran sol surja esperanza, fe, amor, verdad, belleza en la canción de cada tierra, cada voz.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. You may be seated. And good morning again. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces. We welcome those of you who are in our sanctuary this morning, and also those of you who are joining us online. My name is Charlie SCHOLZ. I'm your service associate this morning. The Reverend SARA MILLSPAUGH will be joining us on Zoom as our service leader. We're delighted to be here with you. Unitarian Universalism has no creed or dogma. We are a covenant-based church, meaning that we agree to be in relationship with each other according to the Unitarian Universalist principles and our congregation's covenant of right relations. We embrace diversity in all forms. Everyone is welcome here. You can learn more about our church and check the events calendar on our website, which is UUCLC.org. If you're visiting today, we'd like to greet you. Please rise in body and spirit and introduce yourself by telling us your name and where you're from. Do we have any visitors this morning? There's a visitor. Yes, ma'am.
I'm Grace Greek. I just moved to Las Cruces from Northern Michigan.
Wonderful. I hope you enjoy the weather. Knowing something about Northern Michigan, I remember being in Lake Superior, yes, in the summer when it was cold. Oh yeah. Welcome. Do we have any visitors on Zoom today, Michaela?
Yes. Hello.
Okay. And you are?
Oh, I'm Lynn Bussey, and this is my husband, Ron. We're actually in Florida right now, but we're from the Adirondacks, New York, where it's minus 15 degrees, and we are moving to Las Cruces the beginning of March. And so we thought we would worship with you this morning.
Well, thank you very much. Wonderful. Good to hear from you. Any other visitors, Michaela?
Hello.
Oh.
Hi, it's Carlton E. Smith with you here. I'm the lead for the Pacific Western region. I get to work with the wonderful Reverend Sarah Gibb MILLSPAUGH, and I'm delighted to be with you all today. I'll be with you this afternoon as well. Blessings.
At 2 o'clock. Thank you, Carlton. Good to see you. Anyone else? All righty. I have a couple of announcements here. Let's see. The Hospitality Committee is taking a break because of the spike in COVID. So we're not having refreshments this morning. However, if you want to gather outside, it's a little chilly yet, but you can gather in the breezeway with other people and have conversation anyway. And 2 other announcements. We are having a meeting with Reverend MILLSPAUGH and Reverend Carlton at 2 o'clock this afternoon. And that was in the, if you got the notice of the meeting, I think the link is there. Just click on that. And they're going to discuss, in the spirit of Janus, the ancient god for whom January is named. You remember, a two-faced fellow. We will look backward and forward together. Backward to understand more about what happened when Dr. Reverend Kalani Kachela departed last month, and forward to talk about our own healing process, as well as what might be in next for the UUCLC's ministry. And of course, next Sunday, our own Elwyn Nunn, you can see Elwyn back there at the camera waving, will be selling his delicious chocolate truffles in the library, which is around the corner, at right after the service. So be sure and bring, Elwyn reminded me, bring money. And I said, that's, yes, I understand, Elwyn, selling, it's a transaction thing. I got that. Okay, our opening hymn is For All That Is Our Life, and Kathy Cox would like you to hum along with her. One of the ways we support each other in our community is through the sharing of joys and sorrows and milestones. In these challenging times, it's crucial that we make attempts to stay connected with one another. Our church's website has a link which allows you to confidentially submit a joy, a sorrow, or a milestone. And you can specify if you would like your submission shared with the caring team and or the congregation, or if you prefer for it to remain confidential. We have 3 sorrows today. Bob Davis, beloved husband of Shirley, passed away on January 21st. He was a friend to this church for the last 17 years and will be missed. Shirley welcomes cards and phone calls. Her children will be with her this week to share memories. And this from Diane Lee. My beloved friend Charlene, who lost her husband to COVID last January, has just found out that her oldest daughter, Debbie, has breast cancer. Please keep the family in your thoughts and prayers as they go through another challenge. And this from Jan Thompson. She notes, the great Buddhist teacher and philosopher that we often quote in our services, Thich Nhat Hanh, passed away on January 22nd. We will miss him.
Hi everybody. I'm excited to share a song with you today that I really love. It's a setting of the metta meditation from the Buddha. May I be filled with loving kindness, may I be well, may I be peaceful and at ease, and may I be happy. Starting with a practice of compassion towards ourselves, and then gradually extending that compassion outward to the entire world. So that first, if we can extend compassion to ourselves, we can then extend compassion to the people that we know, and maybe the people that we see, and maybe the people that we haven't even heard about and don't even know about, is the idea. So I'm going to teach you this melody. I learned it from a colleague of mine, Amy Menard, and I wrote a harmonization. So I'll sing a line and invite you to sing that line back to me. It goes like this. May I be filled with loving kindness. Try that. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. Your turn. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. Together. May I be peaceful and at ease, and may I be happy. That last line. And may I be happy. So in a second, we will sing that all again, and then we'll change the word I to the word you, and then to we, and finally to all. And between each verse, I'm going to just play a little instrumental music, and I just invite us to really meditate during that time on what we're singing and what we're saying, and endeavor to feel some of that compassion for ourselves and for others. Let's start with May I Be Filled. And may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. And may I be happy. May you be filled with loving kindness. May and may we be happy. May all be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. And may all be happy. Thanks, everyone.
As was mentioned during Joys and Sorrows, the great spiritual teacher, Vietnamese Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh passed away earlier this week at age 95. His teachings on mindfulness, interbeing, and engaged Buddhism have touched many Unitarian Universalists, myself included. When I was studying to be a minister, I was very fortunate to be able to attend a free day-long retreat that he held for students. And when he spoke to us, I knew I was in the presence of a truly holy person. I introduce our meditation time with his words on transforming our compost from the book Touching Peace. He wrote, "When we look deeply into ourselves, we see both flowers and garbage. Each of us has anger, hatred, depression, racial discrimination, and many other are us. No for us be in the way that a knows how to transform compost into, we can learn the art of depression, racial into love and understanding. This is the work of meditation, the work of meditation. I invite us into a time of silent meditation. If you wish to just nod in your seat, focus on entering into a spirit of mindfulness that Thich Nhat Hanh has called us to in his writings and his teachings. Lead us in and out of the silent meditation with a bell from the Rishoku Sakai, which is a Buddhist tradition in Japan, a long relationship with Unitarian Universalists. Let us join in meditation. This morning's reading comes from the meditations of the Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman, a 20th century minister and theologian, an African-American man who founded one of the first intentionally multicultural congregations, and who served as Dean of Howard University's Divinity School. I remember Howard Thurman preached at Reverend Dr. Kalani Kachella's installation service at the congregation that rented to make space for such a big service in Las Cruces. One generation older than Martin Luther King Jr., Howard Thurman is considered a forerunner of the civil rights movement, dedication to racial equality and nonviolence. Here are his words from the Beacon Press collection, Meditations of the Heart. Look well to the growing edge. All around us, worlds are being, all of us, life is dying, and life is born. Fruit ripens on the tree. The are silently at darkness of the earth. It's a time when there will be new leaves, fresh blossoms, green fruit. Such is the growing edge. It is the breath from the lung. One more thing, all else has failed. The upward reach of life when weariness closes in on all endeavor. This is the hope in moments of despair, the incentive to carry on when times are out of joint and people have lost their reason. The source of confidence when worlds crash and dreams whiten into ash. The birth of the child, life's most dramatic answer to death, the growing edge. Look well to the growing edge. Friends, I'm aware that there's some internet trouble going on here with me and a little bit of sound trouble. I will put these readings in the chat later in the service, and I'm going to try to make some adjustments here to help things. Hold on just a moment. Okay, I hope that helps. I love technology. It's fantastic when it works. And when it doesn't work, it is not so fantastic. When I was a ministerial student living in Boston, one of my favorite household tasks was tending a compost pile in the far corner of my backyard. All summer long and all fall, it slowly turned leaves and vegetable scraps into steamy and nutrient-laden soil. Living things rotted and decayed and decomposed, turning it into dirt that would nurture new living things. I loved tending the compost because it reminded me of Thich Nhat Hanh's Buddhist teaching on compost. And it reminded me that all is interrelated, the decaying garbage that we shun and the radiant flowers, they're all made of the same stuff. Tending the compost became a bit of a spiritual practice for me. But once winter hit, I didn't try through the pile. It was too far and too messy. Sit there and one April was gone. Set out to test again, and I imagined I would form steamy, manually created soil. Process of decay, generating heat through the. I raised up my pitchfork. I plunged it into the pile, and it bounced back. I tried again. It bounced again. I looked to see what the times were striking. A frozen cantaloupe. next to a frozen potato, several whole banana peels, and an orange frozen solid. The compost had not composted. It had remained a collection of various vegetable scraps and rotten fruits. It had decayed only slightly, and it was far from turning into life-giving dirt. I stood there staring at the frozen vegetable collection, feeling disheartened. My compost had stopped working. I had before me a frozen garbage heap. What I thought would be a spiritually uplifting moment heralding the arrival of spring and the interbeing of all life turned out to teach me something quite elementary, but important nonetheless. Freezes in winter. It is true. Winters come and we find things frozen. In the seasons of the world and the seasons of our lives, standing there, looking at all the inert remnants of the past, I thought about the winters of our lives, those cold and lean times when we are low on and low in spirit, when we find ourselves frozen in our grief, frozen in our longing, frozen in emotional patterns that hurt rather than help. Here we are, only about 1/3 of our way into winter. The coronavirus is running rampant. Tired, beyond frayed. We were already worrying about our country, our democracy, our changing climate, our planet in peril. And here at UUCLC, your minister, Reverend Dr. Kalani Kachela, informed you of his resignation on December 29th, effective December 31st. It has been a chilling time. Here at UUCLC, the pandemic had been challenging, but you were steaming along, creating worship and music and meaningful programs for children and youth, caring for one another. Your compost was happening through this winter, but with this, the metaphorical winter just suddenly got a lot colder. The familiar security blankets and overcoats that warmed you in times past may not feel like enough. And that compost heap over in the corner of the yard, it just got a lot more garbage dumped into it. And it's cold enough that it could very well be frozen solid. We might feel really sad that Reverend Kalani has moved on. We might feel angry. We might feel relieved. Perhaps we're struggling to accept his decision or still mad about the situation that led to the cut in ministry time. That is okay to feel. All part of the process of accepting a loss and saying good. Part of the process of grief. Grief, I'll say that again just in case the internet wasn't working. Just got a message that it was cutting out. We might feel really sad that Reverend Kalani has moved on. We might feel angry. We might feel relieved. Perhaps we're still struggling to accept his decision or still mad about the situation that led to a cut in ministry time. All of that is okay to feel. It's all part of the process of experiencing a loss and saying goodbye. It's part of the process of grief. Grief is a process, like compost is a process. The remnants of what once fed us and the decayed parts of the beauty that filled our yards, it feels like it's all strewn about, disorganized, messy, even horrible. But gradually, as we feel what we need to feel, all of those disparate pieces organize themselves into meaning. You've heard of the 5 stages of grief from Elizabeth Kubler-Ross? Well, her associate, Michael Kessler, recently told the world that there's actually a 6th stage of grief, finding meaning. That meaning is the rich compost that the past eventually turns into. That meaning is the soil in which we plant our future. It always bugs me. It's the saying that everything happens for a reason. I actually don't believe that. The universe has so much randomness, and sometimes there's no reason other than things happen. And also, the universe contains so much complexity that there couldn't possibly be a reason that most things happen. There are multiple reasons for so many things that take place. We can't just choose one. Likewise, there are multiple reasons that Reverend Kalani concluded with a heavy heart that he couldn't continue serving the congregation past December 31st. There are multiple reasons that the board discerned that ministry time needed to be cut. There are multiple reasons why Reverend Kalani agreed to the change and signed a contract, but then concluded it wasn't right. It wasn't what he wanted to do. It's hard to know exactly why in these instances, because so much of whether ministers stay or go is about the relationship between a minister and the congregation, the tangible qualities of that relationship and the emotional aspects, those ineffable qualities of the relationship that make it flourish or not flourish, or be productive in some ways and not in others. Are complex, living, growing systems, and people are complex too, even us ministers, maybe especially us ministers, as we grow and change. Everything doesn't happen for a reason. But what I have discovered both in my personal life and in my work with congregations is that we can learn from everything. In just about every experience in life, no matter how negative, there's a chance to learn something, a chance to grow wiser from it, a chance to build resilience from it, a chance to discover capacities we never thought we had and be the people we are deeply meant to be. When I found my compost frozen, I went on the internet. I learned that compost can do its work through the winter, but we have to stir it and tend to it. We can't just throw all the scraps behind us, forget about them, and expect it to turn into something beautiful. And the same is true of our lives as congregations. UUCLC can grow stronger from this experience if we allow ourselves the openness, the softness to be present to our grief and confusion, to be present to one another in our complex feelings about this transition, to truly listen to someone who thinks differently than we do, and in turn, to let that person truly hear us. UUCLC can grow stronger from this experience if we refrain from the temptation to grasp for technical solutions or easy answers. And that means resisting the urge to blame. Remember, we are a complex and multifaceted system, and a lot has gone into UUCLC's compost pile over the years. Stirring that compost involves observing it, noticing what the heap needs, and contributing to the process in a way that you think will help bring forth the most life. Whether the compost needs dry leaves, moisture, vegetable scraps, or a good pitchfork, you notice what it's doing. About compost, you consult the wisdom of your own experience, and you do what you think will bring forth the most fertility and the most life. And as gardeners and master composters know in real life, no matter what they do, there are forces beyond them that affect the life. Sun, wind, rain, snow, hail, deer, and badgers, to name a few, sometimes we can do our best and nothing flourishes like we think it will. And sometimes the conditions are just right for a new life to spring forth. This is grace. This is the spirit of life at work in the universe, and we are wise to make room for it. In this morning's reading, Howard Thurman writes, "All around us worlds are dying and new worlds are being born. All around us life is dying and life is being born." Howard Thurman was born in 1899, a Black person in the segregated South. He knew in his bones that change, loss, and suffering are concomitant with the gift of life. As a Christian attuned to the mysticism in the everyday, he noticed the sacred force of life at work all around him. Despite the pain of the present, he placed his faith and oriented his life toward the growing edge, the ground of a hopeful future. "Well," he wrote, "all around us worlds are dying and new worlds are being born. All around us life is dying and life is being born. The fruit ripens on the tree, the roots are silently at work in the darkness of the earth against a time when there will be new fruit, new leaves, fresh blossoms. Such is the growing edge. It is the extra breath from the exhaust, the one more thing to try when all else has failed. The upward reach of life when weariness closes in upon all endeavor." This growing edge is ever present if we take time to notice, even in the coldest winter of our grief and uncertainty. The growing edge is here, drawing sustenance from the compost of the past. Trusting its presence, as Howard Thurman did, is truly an act of faith. His act of faith helped spark the 20th century civil rights movement, blossoming forth among the next generation. In his life, it was an act of faith to trust that new life and new hope could persist despite the horrors he experienced and saw all around him. That is our task too. And in any UU congregation, and here, it is an act of faith to persist of continually forming and reforming the beloved community of progressively religious people through all of our fears and our challenges. Through the long winter and into the seasons of growth and renewal, may we place our faith in the growing edge and commit to the joyous and challenging work of tending our compost with skill, with love, and most of all with faith. The compost due in the years to come will nurture this UU congregation's garden for generations. Amen. And blessed be.
Thank you, Reverend MILLSPAUGH. I like this quote from Eric Walker Wickstrom, sorry. He says, "It is said, the Lord loves a cheerful giver, yet will accept money from a grouch as well." As the ushers prepare to take this morning's offering, may each of us look into our wallets, look not into our wallets or our checkbooks to see how much we have with us. Let us also look into our hearts and see what is available there. How much love, how much generosity, how much faith how much gratitude, how much hope. And let us take our offering from that account. We continue to support organizations outside of our realm here. They're identified by the Social Justice Committee as our recipients of our Change for Change program. We can collect your actual change in the basket this morning, or if you're Zooming with us, you can make your donations by check or through the church's website. This quarter's donations will go to La Casa, whose mission is to support those affected by domestic violence while striving to prevent abuse and promoting healthy relationships among individuals and families. And I have a note here that last year they served more than 500 families. So, ushers.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. It is grace that brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. Oh, when this flesh and heart shall fail, and life begins to cease, I shall travel through that shadowed vale with steady joy and peace. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see.
If you're looking for a spiritual home and sympathetic with Unitarian Universalist values and principles, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Las Cruces may be the place for you. We believe that when you become a member, you are entering into a warm and deep relationship with the church and with all of our members and friends. You are becoming a part of something much bigger than any of us. You're becoming a part of a movement to change our community and our world. The way you join this church is to sign the membership book, or you can call the church, leave a message, and someone from the membership committee will contact you. And I'll be happy to talk with you after the services if you're interested.
Please hum along while I sing Love Will Guide Us. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. If you cannot sing like angels, if you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep, deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us, peace has tried us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Our closing words come from the poet May Sarton. Help us to be the always hopeful gardeners of the Spirit, who know that without darkness, nothing comes to birth, as without light, nothing flowers. May it be so. Amen.
Will you rise and join me in saying the words to extinguish our flame? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you.
My mother, when love is gone. My mother, when love is gone. In our darkest hour, hope lingers on. My father, when peace is gone. My father, when peace is gone. In our darkest hour, hope lingers on. I will not hate, and I will not fear. In our darkest hour, hope lingers here. My sister, when equality's gone. My sister, when equality's gone. In our darkest hour, hope lingers. country. When justice is done, my country. When justice is gone, in our darkest hour, hope lingers on. I will not hate, and I will not fear in our darkest hour. Hope lingers here. I will not hate, and I will not fear in our darkest hour. Hope lingers here.
We should have danced to that, certainly.